Nico Collins returns, but some bad news for the Texans that could line up perfect for a potential disaster up 45. Plus, DeMeco Ryans answers his critics, and someone who posed a question about him joins the show. Let's go inside the locker room. We got a lot to get to.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, locker room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do.
All right, it is the locker room, number one source for Texans digital content. This segment sponsored by BetUS. You can go use the code YouTube150, and you can get 150% bonus back on your deposits up to $2,000. It was an interesting day today for the Texans. I know a lot of people feel very passionately about the Cowboys around here. I've always thought that was a little bit weird. There's not like a ton of history between the two teams, but there is a lot of hate for the Cowboys. And we have, I don't want to say this is a perfect storm because the Cowboys are a bad team. But if you look at the two things that the Cowboys, and the two ways that the Cowboys can potentially hurt the Texans, it does almost feel like a storm is kind of brewing to where those two things could kind of wreck the game. And it's really just two players, CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons. We know about the Texans offensive line and just how crappy the Texans offensive line has been. I think every complaint that we have, I think it goes back to the offensive line with the Texans. But Micah Parsons, we already know that he can wreck the game. We already know that him and CJ Stroud have like the friendly rivalry and all that type of stuff. But now you get the news today when we go at practice. We see Nico Collins. He's one of the first people we see, which is good news. But then you look over at the DBs, and there's no Derek Stingley and there's no Kamari Lassiter. Now, we don't anticipate that Kamari Lassiter is going to play. He has the concussion. But Derek Stingley, I personally expected, especially with how bad the Cowboys receivers are, that this was a game where they've had Derek Stingley shadow guys before, where Derek Stingley probably shadows CeeDee Lamb, and that's probably your best hope. And if Stingley and Lassiter aren't going to play, and you look at how the Cowboys move around CeeDee Lamb, they move him from the outside and the inside. I'm not sitting here saying that you should worry about some sort of loss or something, but that's not a small deal. Now, the good news is you have DeMeco Ryans coaching the defense and not Bobby Slowick. So that's the good news. But if there's no Stingley and there's no Lassiter, CeeDee Lamb could go absolutely crazy. So that's something to keep an eye on tomorrow. But we did see Nico Collins practice today. We also heard from DeMeco Ryans. Let's hear some of the stuff that DeMeco Ryans had to say. I got to tell you, for a guy who says he doesn't listen to the outside noise, he's aware of outside noise. Maybe PR is like telling him what's going on. But last week you heard DeMeco say that there's a narrative that they aren't a good team. I hadn't heard that. I hadn't heard that anywhere. I feel like I'm in the Texan streets more than anyone. I haven't heard anyone say that the Texans aren't a good team. But DeMeco said there was some sort of narrative. He also talks about criticism a lot, and he also talked about the two pieces. Let's hear from that, and we're also going to bring on Paul Gallant. Paul Gallant, I thought it was an interesting discussion. I don't know why it was maybe polarizing for some people, but I thought it was an interesting discussion. We'll bring Paul in a sec. But first, let's hear DeMeco Ryans at the podium. And the end of it, when Will Kunkel asks him the question, is the one to check out. But he has a lot of good things to say about Micah Parsons. He actually praised Cooper Rush, too. I don't know what's going on there. Here's DeMeco Ryans.
Micah Parsons, the angles and things that he brings to the table. What are some of the challenges that are involved there?
Going against Dallas's defense, Micah is an exceptional player. Right? He plays with a relentless motor. He moves all over the place. He, aligns on the edge and the A-gap. He's all over the place, and he's all over the field. He's an impact player for them. So we have to have, high awareness for where he is at all times and, try to do a great job of stopping him.
When you go practicing, what is it like to have a guy like that back?
And getting Nico back is always, very great for all of us. Nico's been one of our best players when he was healthy, so it's great to have him back, great to have his presence and the energy that he brings and also the playmaking ability that he brings. So happy to have him back and really proud of him for the work he's put in to get himself back. All right, ready to go. Yeah.
Since you played at AT&T Stadium so much, is there any kind of advantage at all since you played there more than anybody on your team has?
No advantage for playing there. We're just looking for a really cool atmosphere. I think it's one of the coolest stadiums to play in. So our guys, it'll be a lot of our guys' first time going there and playing. But we expect to see some good support from our fans there as well. So the guys will embrace the environment there. It's all about playing well, in that place. If our guys go out and execute well, be a really cool place to play.
What's so cool about it? What do you
It's just just with that stadium, how large the stadium is, the screen in the middle. Like, it's just a lot of cool features, updated, newer stadium that you don't see everywhere.
I know you probably couldn't call it a rivalry since y'all haven't played that many times against each other, but is there something special to playing against the other NFL team in your state?
Nothing special for us. We're hungry and excited about, getting a win. I know it's exciting and it means a lot to our fans, but for us it means a lot because it's the next one.
Okay.
Go ahead, Jonathan.
I know last week was real tough for a lot of players, but how have you seen the team respond in the first practice and in the meetings so far?
Yeah, our guys are professionals, right? You come back and you put your cleats on, your helmet on, you go back to work. So our guys' mindset has been, hey, let's get back to work and let's get back to playing our style of football.
DeMeco, they're going to be without Dak, but Cooper Rush has been a part of the system for years.
What's
What have you
this?
noticed about him?
I don't know how he said this with a straight face.
Yeah, Cooper has been there a while, and he understands how to operate the offense very efficiently. Like, when it comes to everything, every operation that goes with the offense, the checks, getting them in the proper plays. Like, Cooper does a great job of managing all of the pre-snap operations, and he does a great job of getting the ball out, finding his playmakers, making really good decisions with the football. So we still have to be on all of our details, right? Cooper has a great record from when he started. He's won a lot of games, so we're going in with the mindset of it being about the Texans and about us executing the right way.
Earlier this week, you talked about taking the escalators instead of the elevator and growing as the season progresses. Having said that, what does this game mean? I know you're going to say every game is important, but on a 2-game skid to get back.
What's the escalators instead of the elevators? I'm trying to figure that. I don't doubt that he said that. Let me go back. I'm might be a little bit stoned right now. I'll be honest with you, but I got to hear that again.
As the season progresses, having said that.
And about us executing
going on
the right
right
way.
now?
Earlier this week, you talked about taking the escalators instead of the elevator and growing as the season progresses.
What is taking the escalator instead? Somebody help me out. I'm not smart, but so you take the escalator instead of the elevator? What's better about that? Isn't the elevator faster? Does the escalator mean it's quicker? What about the stairs? What does the escalators instead of the elevator mean? I'm confused. I think DeMeco is too. Look at him. He's like, what are you saying?
Having said that,
Look at him.
what does this game mean? I know you're going to say every game is important, but on a 2-game skid to get back on the winning column, how important it is to get a victory.
This game is important because, like I said, it is the next one. And we have a bad taste in our mouth, and we're ready to get back to work. So it's important for us to just fix us, right, and play clean football.
What type of issues does
He meant stairs. I don't know. He said the escalator instead of the elevator. I'm still confused.
Present to your defense?
Yeah, CD, man, he's so explosive. Starting with just him in the slot, like his ability to just run after catch is he's an exceptional player, right? He can align everywhere on the field. Like, he aligns outside. He can take the shot outside, the go balls, but he also gets inside. They move him around a lot. The coaching staff does a really nice job of just putting him in a lot of different spots where you have to have great eyes for where he is at all. All
right, hold up. I'm gonna get to Dime here. I'm obsessing over this. This is one of those things. We've been winning the hard way equals escalator. How's the escalator hard? The steps literally move for you. Stairs is hard. Escalator literally goes up. Winning the easy way equals elevator. Elevator is easy. We've been winning games the hard way. The escalator is not hard. It makes sense, not difficult to understand. Dime, I think you're just trying to be a contrarian on that if you're trying to act like that's common. Come on, brother. Let's be serious.
All times, because he is their top playmaker, and he's proven even when eyes are on him, he can still make plays. So it's a big task for us stopping CD, but it's going to take everybody. It's not going to be about one person stopping him. It's going to take everybody on the defense.
Nico, what would it mean to you if you're aware of this? One of the times they played there, the Texans fans were so loud, Tony Romo had to go to the silent count. What would that mean to you in a game like this?
That would mean everything to us. If we can get our fans support there, and we can, cause some havoc for them when they're on offense.
Listen to this. He's about to talk about the Lions takeover and all the fan takeovers too.
Offense. I mean, if our fans show up like that, that would be outstanding. I know our guys would be very appreciative of that. We've seen that a couple times in our stadium where the opposing team, their fans have, shown up and shown out and been loud. So for us to do that on the road, we really appreciate that from our fans.
With Kamari still in the protocol, what do you think of the depth that Kadar Holman can provide, and also possibility of Jeff Okudah being up?
Kamari is in the protocol, hoping he turns the corner here real soon and get him back. But we have guys who play ball, have experience, and they'll step up and do what we ask them to do.
How much can some familiarity and some cohesion with the line that you had on Sunday, if you have that same line again, how much can that help some of the stuff that you weren't happy with in that first iteration of that line and maybe the second time that line goes out there?
With the offensive line, with the lineup that we have, they're going out again for the second time. We all hope that everything continues to improve and get cleaner. I thought the guys did a really nice job of, communicating and protecting CJ this past game. It was well improved, and we're just looking for continued improvement, right? And the run game is where I challenge our guys to pick it up, and we'll see how we accept that challenge this Monday night.
So he basically said the same O-line.
At a meeting about we're not doing what we want to do. From your perspective, when you address the team, this moment, this stretch, who knows how it unfolds and you look back on it in 8 weeks. But do you talk about the fact we're going through it right now and this is what we have to do to get through it and get over it? It is a long season, or do you just next day?
No, we speak about where we are, and for me, I always speak the truth in our team meetings, right, and let the guys know exactly where we are. And yeah, we're going through a tough patch right now, but as I told our team, we need that. We need to toughen up. We need to be mentally tougher. We need to figure out ways to finish games, and the only way to learn sometimes is through failure, right? And that strengthens you. That grows that stamina that you need, and it creates that resolve that you need to see, where I need to pick it up. It's not all the way there, because if it was, we would have finished those games. So it teaches you where you're lacking, and it shows where we have to pick it up and finish. So I'm thankful for this moment, and I'm thankful for our guys to learn from this moment. I always talk about whether it's win or loss, it's always a learning moment. It's always a teachable moment, and I feel like our guys have learned a lot, and now it's time for us to exhibit the growth that we've shown and what we've learned throughout these tough times.
Coach, with that being said, there's a lot of outside chatter about, your decision-making, the way Bobby calls plays, the way that the offense has been ineffective. How are you all able to block that out? How are you able to block that out as the head coach and make sure that your team is all one cohesive unit?
When it comes to the outside noise on decision-making and play calling, all those things, that's the NFL, right? We'll always get that. I don't listen to it. I don't have time to spend on everybody's opinion on how we're running our team and what we're calling and what we're doing, right? As a NFL coach, you make decisions and you stick by the decisions that you make. And everybody, of course, being in NFL, being an NFL head coach, probably one of the only jobs where everybody critiques you on Monday, right? That's the only job. And besides the NFL head coach and the president, you probably get critiqued on every decision that you make because everybody else has all the answers right after the fact, but nobody has the answers in the heat of the battle, in the heat of the moment. We can all hit rewind as many times. We can slow it down as much as we want to, but that's why I'm here to make the decisions, and that's how it'll be.
All those people praising your defensive play caller, they got the right answer right. So what is something you'd like to see CJ do?
All right, there you go. That is DeMeco Ryans there. I think he's gotten a little bit where he's acting like everything that goes wrong with the Texans is like a hindsight thing. And I think most people could see that Kenyon Green probably shouldn't be starting. And there's been a couple of other things, but that just kind of comes with the nature of the natural hardo nature of a coach. We'll bring Paul Gallant in a sec. Stairs and escalator gate is probably my favorite subject of the day. I'll be honest. Tommy Choi says, I think escalators and elevators take the same amount of effort, unfortunately. Yeah, I would say so too. I would think so too. And as a matter of fact, like if you think about it, like sometimes you have to stop at the elevator. Like the escalator is not stopping. So you can make a case that the escalator is actually easy because it's going up. Sometimes you have to like stop on floors in the elevator. So, and if the escalator breaks down, you can still walk up the escalator. I cannot believe my man Dime tried to act like that was like a common thing. We'll bring Gallant in a sec. This is again sponsored by BetUS. We'll try a prop builder a little bit later. I don't know how I'm going to spend my money. I'm not going to lie. I just lost a few hundred on the Washington game. That last Saquon touchdown kind of kicked me in the nuts. So it happens though. But when you're getting the free money that BetUS gives, I guess it's okay. But let's hear from this was Paul Gallant. He brought this up. I saw this. I think the outside noise that Sarge was referring to, I think he was talking about Paul Gallant. I'm not sure. I think Paul Gallant's middle name might be Outside Noise. I was actually messing with Sarge about this. I was like, man, y'all should chat about this. And he was kind of laughing. I guess they did. We'll ask Paul in a sec. But this was the clip about DeMeco Ryans that had Texans Twitter. I saw there were some spaces going a little bit nuts. This was on ESPN 97.5 with Paul Gallant. Let's just hear it, and then we'll bring Paul in, and we'll discuss it a little bit further here in the nighttime edition of the Locker Room.
I don't think any of us thought that 10 games into this year with the Texans having the exact same record as they did last year, that we would already be starting to wonder about the ceiling of DeMeco Ryans as a head coach. But how can you not? You have to a little bit. It's not to say that you think he sucks right now or anything like that. It's more to say, how good will he be as a head coach? Are we going to look at DeMeco Ryans and ever put him in the same conversation as Sean McVay or different style Dan Campbell, which we're all doing all of a sudden, Jim Harbaugh, John Harbaugh, Mike Tomlin? Because that's what you want. Having a coach like that plus a quarterback like that means you should get a chance at multiple Super Bowls. Andy Reid, can't believe I didn't say his name off the top of my head. There's a lot of coaches that we hope he will be in the same category as someday. And the gaslighty stuff does make you wonder, because if the same things are happening every single week, it makes you wonder about his approach behind the scenes.
That's Paul G. His point. You can get in the chat. We'll bring Paul in right now of 97.5. Paulie G, look at you, dude. Good Lord, man.
What's up, dog?
Look at all that hair. So what I heard what you were saying, and what was the reaction like with that? Because I saw that there was Sarge had said, and I asked Sarge about it, that there was a narrative, and I was like, narrative about DeMeco? What's going on? And then I finally put two and two together, and I realized that it was your clip. So what exactly were you saying, and what was kind of the reaction? Not generally, but just like the reaction of what people said when you brought this up.
Well, a lot of the reaction seemed to imply that I'm racist, so that was fun. Okay. But when I got into talking about it in a Twitter Spaces and actually got to expand on it, I feel like, Landry, a lot of the reaction was to the caption that I had in the tweet. and not people actually watching the video and listening to what I said. Here's what I wrote. Between the players only meetings, the repetitive nature of his team's mistakes, and the gaslighting to the media, hopefully to just us and not the players at press conferences, is anyone else wondering about DeMeco Ryans' ceiling as an NFL head coach?
Yeah.
So Wednesday, topic that came to me as I was doing the show by myself. And I thought to myself, you know what? I'm sure this will generate some sort of back and forth. It wasn't meant to be an indictment on him, but I think we do have to wonder that 10 weeks into the year, if we're seeing the same stuff over and over again, how effective is he right now? And I know everyone's going to point at Bobby Sloak and the offensive line, and those are definitely factors here too. CJ Stroud's maybe in a bit of a slump, but I think it is fair to wonder how much has he improved in year 2? Because he and Stroud, what is the step forward that they have taken to this point this year? Just the question I asked.
Yeah, and I think the whole like evaluation of DeMeco and CJ is, I mean, that's your two biggest sources of hope. So it's going to happen. Like, I don't think it's a finished product. Like Andy Reid, you mentioned Andy Reid, his clock management was ass for however long, and he was like criticized. But I mean, on one hand, I don't feel like there's a problem. People saying CJ Stroud's a franchise quarterback this early on. So why not like be able to question some of the stuff that DeMeco does? For me, like the DeMeco thing is interesting because I wouldn't, there's not another coach I would rather have than DeMeco. I like DeMeco. He's going to go through inevitable growing pains. But what I've maintained is the biggest pushback for hiring DeMeco Ryans was he's a defensive coach. He's not an offensive minded guy. And it's not just about what he says. It's the podium. It's the fact that Kenyon Green is able to go out there for 4 weeks, and it's clear that Kenyon Green does not need to be on the field in this situation. And it takes an injury for him to finally be removed. And all of a sudden the pass blocking is better when he's gone. So I don't think that's necessarily hindsight, but I think that DeMeco is going through what a lot of coaches go through. And I think the questions about the ceiling and the floor, I think those are fun conversations to be having, especially when the expectations have kind of risen with those two guys.
For comparison's sake, when I was doing the show with Mike and Seth back at the flagship, I remember one day I came in with this heater of a question. Are Texans fans scared to admit that Patrick Mahomes is better than Deshaun Watson? And people were fucking pissed, you know? They were mad. And I get it in the moment, but at that moment in time, I felt like we knew, at least then, that Mahomes is better.
Yeah.
These are hypothetical conversations that are not necessarily indictments, because at the time we liked what we were getting from Deshaun Watson. You just maybe had a little bit of envy that Patrick Mahomes was giving you a little bit more. So as far as with DeMeco Ryans here, I think to what you said about the defensive-minded coach versus the offensive-minded coach, that's probably been the only critique of DeMeco Ryans to this point. But I think it's always fair to ask questions about the local team. And don't you get a little bit concerned that the second half issues are happening in every single game? Bobby Sloak is very convenient to blame for everything right now. And while I'm not the biggest Sloak fan, I do think it's getting to the point of being overdone.
I think they just don't want to admit the offensive line sucks. Like I think they just don't want to come out and say the offensive line sucks. And I think that it all gets connected to that. I do think it gets better with Nico, but there have been 2 quotes the last week that have stuck out when it comes to Sloak. One was Joe Mixon, and it was in the media scrum after the loss where he said, "We got to start playing to win and not playing to lose, not playing to not lose." And then CJ said today that I'm a game changer, not a game manager. And that kind of makes you wonder with Bobby Sloak. But again, that's going to be on DeMeco to figure out what the hell to do on the offensive side of the rock. Because if he can't, then that's going to limit your ceiling. So when you talk about ceiling and you talk about like evaluating the ceiling of DeMeco Ryans, with or without Nico Collins, no touchdowns in the second half in 4 weeks is pathetic. You can't you can't justify that. So there can be opportunity to make changes. There's ways that improvements could come. But if DeMeco is going to reach his full ceiling, he's going to have to handle the offensive side of the ball. He's going to have to make adjustments. And if Bobby Sloak's not the guy, he's going to have to not drag it out. He's going to have to make the tough decisions. So I think ceiling talk is is more than valid. I'm not hearing you say that you think DeMeco Ryans should be fired or anything like that, though, because that was what I was like. I don't think I've heard anyone say fire DeMeco at all. Like I don't think I've heard like one person.
It always turns into a game of telephone after a while, though. And I mean, I didn't even check the mentions on that. I remember, I think afterwards, because I was pretty pumped that another one of my tweets made the Pat McAfee show, thinking to myself, you know what? Oh, I'm having a good day. And then I checked that I just got ratioed to hell. And I'm like, I'm not going to read any of these responses. I know exactly what they're going to say. So,
what did you get ratioed about?
Basically just this tweet. I mean, if you take a look at it, it's like mostly quote tweets.
What are you talking about? Your the McAfee one or the
no, the DeMeco one. I didn't even check the mentions on it because I was like, I know what this is going to be. I knew exactly what was going to happen once I saw that it had blown up a little bit. Because they got like 8 responses after like 20 minutes to like maybe 2 likes. And I was like, okay, great. Here we go.
Okay, let's look at these, man. I'm gonna put you on the spot. I'm gonna look
oh
at
no.
Right here. Let's check this out. Okay, let's get a little bit bigger. Okay, so let's see what we have. Fair question, but I'm not on the DeMeco is overrated. So there you go. That's good. You do realize that it's DeMeco's second year as head coach, right? We're wondering about his ceiling. The most coveted head coach candidate 2023, majority of coaches. Okay. It's his second year roster BOB. I don't think people are being too bad with you.
That makes me have some faith in humanity.
Yeah, you're not getting it too bad. I don't think it was that bad of a talker. I don't even picked it up on 610 too. I think I saw Seth did a poll, so I think you generated some dialogue there.
Steering the narrative of the city of Houston.
Josh Ennis is here. That's what he said. That said, you can't be shocked when people react to your clickbait headline and not your actual point. You're like a mustache.
You know, funny story. Remember when they had that I think it was the jersey release, like first announcement that they had when we were all there. And that was my first exchange with Hannah McNair, and I was rocking a mustache back then.
She liked it.
And Hannah was like, "Oh yeah, like as you know, I'm a big fan of mustaches." And I made the off-color joke, like, "Oh, mine's getting a little bit 1930s despot Stalin-esque," and she was just horrified.
Oh,
so then I just pulled up by saying, "Well, anyway, you've done a great job of trying to change the topic."
Okay, so I guess DeMeco said stairs instead of elevator.
Okay,
and my man was trying to say that the escalator was the same thing. How does that guy have that question and not have that ready to go?
Who asked that question?
It's the new dude with Bristol, whatever.
Oh, okay,
nice guy. Yeah, Luis. Yeah, he was. It was him. But yeah, that was interesting. The Paul Gallant creating the dialogue with DeMeco. I think DeMeco does seem to be a little bit, I don't know about frustrated. He's very hardo lately. He's very, very hardo lately. Like the other day, someone asked him, what's this routine like the last few weeks? Because they've played on Thursday night, then they play on Sunday night, then they play on Monday night, and he's like, it's just a typical NFL season. But brother, y'all played noon games through 17 weeks last year, and you played one game on Saturday. It got flexed. It's a little bit different. So I think he's kind of, but I think the frustration goes back to the offensive line. So yeah.
To what he was saying about the outside noise, where do you think he's getting that from? Because
I don't know. I do not know, and I find it interesting. And the next time he mentions it, I'm going to ask the follow up there, but. I don't know, because he says that he said that there was a narrative that the team's not good. And my thing is, I didn't hear that. I'm not hearing people say this team's not elite, or this is just the same old Texans. They're going to win the division and they're going to host the noon Saturday game. And then they're going to get their ass kicked in the next round. They're going to lose the first round. I've heard that, but I haven't heard this team's not good.
I haven't either. I mean, I was listening to, I think, both the Ryan Russillo podcast and Bill Simmons both said, I still like the Texans, even though they lost to the Lions on Sunday night.
Yeah, and I still think they can flip the switch with the quarterback and the defense. I think the defense is really good, but they're going to have to figure it out. And then we're going to hear what Slowick has to say tomorrow. I don't know if I feel bad is probably the wrong terminology, but it does it does feel like the Bobby Slowick thing is when the players are having all these meetings. I think that was kind of your point too, is that maybe there's a lot of players only meetings and we don't hear a lot about it, but it always seems like whenever a players only meeting is mentioned, it's like, oh damn, stuff's hitting the fan. And when you have a couple within a few weeks, it's like, the hell is going on here? I don't, that's a lot.
I think last year the Astros had 3 to 4 in the last month of the year, and it felt like the same thing. And hey, look, they still made the playoffs and they still got to the ALCS and all that. But I agree with you. You hear about it, definitely not a good look.
Yeah. So what was the McAfee tweet was about the players?
It was about that.
And then JJ had his did he say anything? No, he didn't.
JJ had a horrified look on his face as Pat McAfee brought up that the Texans may or may not have had 3 player-only meetings over the course of the last week. And then McAfee started talking shit and acting as if the Indianapolis Colts had a chance to win the AFC South. It was pretty funny.
Okay, yeah, I don't think it has gone that far. What do you make of you've been known to have some QB polarizing QB takes? Or you have any like CJ Stroud sucks takes or anything like that to piss people off?
I think right now we're just noticing that he is a little bit slower to process things, and I mean that could be a byproduct of the pass protection. I mean, he had Tank Dell wide open in the end zone. He had Dalton Schultz open a couple of times on the drive, the last drive of the game. I would encourage everybody to listen to the Texans radio broadcast because I really think Andre Ware has been really good this season. He specifically called out Titus Howard for quitting on the play where I did not even see the replay until after the fact where he clearly stripped CJ Stroud when he was up in the press box. Curious about this, Landry. Has he spoken yet this week?
Who?
Titus Howard.
No. So today he wasn't really like presentable, and he had a few guys go over to him and kind of cut up with him a little bit, and then he went and took a shower, and then he wasn't really presentable, and that's kind of the presentable rule. So we really haven't heard from any of the offensive linemen, which is what it is. I mean, I know it is. It just kind of is what it is, but.
You're a professional about it. It honestly frustrates me because it was not that long ago where these guys were acting semi-indifferent to the criticism about them and acting. Remember the game with all the false
yeah, they blame the refs. They blame the refs. Yeah.
Look, yeah, like that to me is it feels like there is perhaps there. Like, don't you want the coaches to yell at them a little bit? And look, Titus Howard, I think, got a brain fart. Okay, like stuff happens in the middle of the game, but I feel like I want to ask about what happened there. And I noticed after the game, he let's just say certain players, he was not the only one, were saying like, I'm pissed off. I'll talk later in the week. But I thought Titus would be talking later in the week. Listen, some of them was embarrassing. Just say, yeah, it happened, man.
Yeah. And I think it's worse. Like if you were trying to hold him up, like DeMeco said, that's worse. That's worse because it's weird. Like that's bad coordination, I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows, man? It is what it is. Paul, appreciate you. Keep fighting the good fight. I thought it was a good discussion, man. I think it's a fair discussion. I didn't think it was that dramatic. We're talking about ceiling, the offensive concerns. Just like we say CJ Stroud has an elite ceiling. The DeMeco ceiling, he's a really, really good coach. How good is it going to be? How's he going to handle the offense is the question. I didn't think it was as bad as I thought. I thought you laid it out pretty well, my friend.
I didn't think it was that bad either. Context, I grew up in Massachusetts listening to a radio program that would dump on the Patriots while they were in the midst of one of the greatest sports runs ever. I feel like it's always fair to ask questions of a team. Part of it also is the fact that my parents never appreciated my straight A minuses because my sister went to Harvard. I thought I could do the same thing. Nope, I'm not that smart. So I have this high level of trying to achieve perfection that I will never get to. So I just ask a lot of questions.
Do your thing, man. I appreciate you, Paul. We'll do this again. I'll holler at you. That's Paul Gallant, ESPN 97. Tell him the channel too. Paul, the Paul Gallant Show, right?
At Paul Gallant for my YouTube channel. It's Gallant and George on the radio if you're ever scrolling around the dial. If our signal works, we're on News 3 on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
It's a tough signal. All right, man. Appreciate you. Signal. It is a tough signal. There you go. That's P. Jizzle, Paul Gallant. My guy. Yeah, look, I see what Black Eighth is saying. It's year 2 people. So what? Like, so what? People are excited. I mean, we're talking about, like, before the season, we're talking about the Texans taking the next step, going somewhere where they've never gone before. We're talking about CJ Stroud, elite quarterback. We're just tell me this, Black Eighth Element. I don't want to generalize you, and I'm not going to say same people said type of bullshit, because that stuff kind of annoys me. I don't like connecting it, but I'm just going to ask, like, when people are saying CJ Stroud is going to be an elite quarterback, are you going to, like, did you say, well, it's only a second year? That would be my question. I think DeMeco's a great coach. I wouldn't trade DeMeco for anything. Paul's talking about the DeMeco ceiling because of what we've seen with the offense, and how they're going to handle it, how they're going to adjust. I think they're good discussions. I think it's good discussions that you have about good football teams. I don't think it was anything crazy. I don't think it was anything nuts. I didn't think too much of it. I like the dialogue. And shout out to Corey Barrett, who does a lot of Texans Twitter spaces. He came out to the gathering with myself and Stutz. He had Gallant in spaces, and I guess they talked about it, and Sarge was in there as well. But I think it's good dialogue. I don't think DeMeco has it too bad as far as media and criticism and stuff like that. I also don't think it's as simplistic as people criticize after the fact. I think there's a lot of times where it's been really clear that the Texans have struggled, and people have kind of seen it, and the Texans have kind of tried the same thing on offense. I do think Nico Collins does make a big difference, though. And shout out to Gallant for coming through. We'll try to get Gallant on here a little bit more often. That mic was a little choppy, though. Kind of felt like he wanted to feel at home 97.5ish. That mic got a little bit choppy. It's kind of like that signal. 97 5 1. Johnny Lambo, shout out to Johnny Lambo. Bobby Slowick needs to stop overthinking this offense. Let CJ run this offense and sit back and watch. Yeah, and I think that's where the game manager comment came from CJ Stroud. I think it's where the Joe Mixon we got to play to win comment came. I think there is some frustration with Bobby Slowick. I think it all goes back to the offensive line, though. I'll be honest with you. Like, I think, like, if we're going to talk about ceilings, I think the biggest ceiling existing right now is with the Texans, because I think this offensive line limits the team, and I don't think that this offensive line, let me put it this way. We watch the defense, and what is the mentality of this football team? What is what DeMeco Ryans says? What is the thing that they put on T-shirts? You ain't never hate. Swarm, right? We hear about swarm. We talk about swarm. I would say the defense swarms. Would y'all agree? Do you think the defense swarms? I would say yes. No matter what, no matter who's in there or not, whether they're off the street, whether they're a rookie, whether they've been here from the beginning, whether it's someone they sign, they swarm. We would agree, right? I would say that Joe Mixon swarms. I would say that is the swarm mentality. I would say Nico Collins swarms. At the wide receiver position, Nico Collins swarms. I would say CJ Stroud kind of has the swarm mentality as well. He's going to give it everything he's got. Do you think the offensive line exemplifies swarm? You know the answer to that question. That's a question that doesn't even need to be answered. Like, there is an array of guys at every area of this football team. The defense is great. Coochie Man says the defense is great, and it's going to be really, 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 really good. Perhaps pretty soon, to where you have a chance when it matters most. That is the hope. The CJ Stroud, Mixon, Nico, that's your three-headed monster right there. And then you have the defense. They have to overcome the offensive line. And by they, I mean everybody from Bobby Slowick to DeMeco Ryans, et cetera. They have to overcome that. When DeMeco Ryans comes out and he talks about CJ Stroud, and he basically says, yeah, you know, he needs to play this way. He needs to have some fun, blah, 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 let it loose. He doesn't say that about the offensive line. He knows. Miko's a smart guy. DeMeco knows more football than any of us. He knows how to coach his ass off in his level of expertise. That offensive line ain't swarm. They ain't swarming. That's not what they do. That's not their mindset. So that's what they're up against. That's what they're going to have to go against. And Brandon's got the jokes. Titus swarms the QB. There you go. So is the offensive line a lack of effort, a lack of talent? I think it's a lack of talent. And I just don't think it's the mindset that we possess. And I put it this way. Laramie Tunsil can have the mannerisms and the mindset that he has because he's talented enough. He can figure it out. And 99% of football teams will want Laramie Tunsil on their squad. You can't have 50 plus guys acting like Laramie Tunsil. And you can't have 5 that are in charge of protecting your quarterback. You can't have that mindset. You put a C on the guy's chest. What is Joe Mixon doing? Joe Mixon, since he got that captain, I didn't even know this meant too much to a professional football player. But you remember like in high school when there's the hardo who wants to be the captain and all of a sudden he takes it real serious and he's rallying the team and he's the voice of the team and all that type of stuff. Joe Mixon, since he became a captain, he's front and center. He's speaking for the squad. He takes that serious. He takes it real serious. Will Anderson, he takes that serious. What's Laramie Tunsil doing? He's chilling. What's Joe Mixon saying when he has a bad game? And I've already gone on this rant, but what's he saying? What's CJ Stroud saying? What's Will Anderson saying? Laramie Tunsil blames the refs when they have their most pathetic performance of the year. He blames the refs. What happens when Laramie Tunsil says that? Titus Howard blames the refs. Shaq and Juice, not really. They're just kind of chilling. But Laramie blames the refs. Titus blames the refs. CJ Stroud's never blamed the offensive line. Took the blame the other day. Maybe rightfully so. He wasn't great. Joe Mixon says we embarrassed our fans. What's the offensive line say? I was trying to hold him up. We have eyes. I mean, we have eyes. I don't even blame you for that. But we have eyes. The CJ Stroud says I screwed up. Joe Mixon says I screwed up. The referee's fault. I was trying to hold him up. It's not swarmy. It's something you got to overcome. Kind of is what it is. I will say this. There haven't been a lot of rest days. Tunsil has been at least out there practicing. But that's what it is. I don't know if I'm not going to question the mentality because it works for Tunsil. So don't get that twisted. It works for Tunsil. Tunsil's really good at what he does. He's the 2-time highest paid offensive lineman of all time. He does his thing. Doesn't work for everyone else. These guys aren't as talented as Laramie Tunsil. I can promise you, if you replace Laramie Tunsil, and this is an extreme example, but if you replace Laramie Tunsil with a Trent Williams, I can promise you these guys aren't acting like this. There's a little bit more fight. A little bit more dog. But it seems like there's like a snowball effect where the swarm mindset, for whatever reason, it hasn't reached up front. Because I don't think the swarm mindset is just related to talent. Neville Hewitt, he's not the most talented guy. He goes in and plays defense. He does his thing. Derek Barnett, he goes in and does his thing. Eric Murray's had some good games. Jalen Petre's played good. He's got limitations. Jalen Petre's played well. Tim Settle's having one of the best years of his career. Mario Edwards was playing really well. Back at practice today, by the way, Mario Edwards. They're swarming. They're not talented. Swarming can overcome talenting, can overcome lack of talent. Hasn't happened. So that's just where it is. That's where they're at. I'm at minus 300 after that Eagles-Cows game. Bet US, promo code YouTube 150 if you want to get in. Let's do a little parlay action here. This is going to be a prop game with the Texans. I'm going to go. The minus 7.5 is a little bit crazy, but I am going to go. God, this is not great. The Texans point total, 24.5. Let's take the Texans over 24.5 points. That'll set up the parlay leg one. Then we'll go down to the passing TDs. We will take CJ Stroud over 1.5. This has hurt me in recent history. That's got the parlay up to plus 156. Rushing yards with Joe Mixon, 86.5. We will stay away from that. Receiving yards, CeeDee Lamb, 58.5. Give me the over. There was no Derek Stingley and Lassiter, so we'll take the over with CeeDee Lamb. Dalton Schultz, going back to Dallas. My guy Dalton, over 31.5 for Dalton Schultz. We'll take the over there. Tank, 48.5. We'll stay away from that. Nico coming back, 72.5. We'll stay away from that. Do we want to go receptions? Do we want to go Nico Collins receptions, 5+? No, we want to stay away from that. And we'll just leave it right there. That parlay will be $725. So we will put $100 on that. 4-leg parlay right there. $100. CJ Stroud over 1.5 passing TDs. CeeDee Lamb over 58.5 yards. Dalton Schultz 31.5. Texans over 24.5 points. $100 to win $725, which will pay $825. Place parlay. Confirm. Boom. That's the bet. There we go. So CD, Dalton Schultz, and then the 2 passing TDs. You can make that bet at BetUS. Use the promo code YouTube150. You can put 40 in your account and make that exact bet, or you can figure something out. So that's where we're going. Let me know where you're getting your money. Shout out to BetUS for sponsoring. We'll see how it goes. Trey Lance is not starting. They're going with Cooper Rush. Mixon TD, never against it. It's just not good value. It's like minus, and you never know what's going to happen. So we'll see. Slowick is normally on Thursdays, but he's going to speak tomorrow because they've pushed everything back because they play Monday night. And I'm not going to lie, my schedule's been effed up. Like my whole sleep schedule, my whole body feeling has been weird ever since the Thursday night and then this and all that. We're going to get back to normal to Sunday games. Sorry, next week, except we're going to have that random ass Christmas day, but Christmas is already kind of a shuffle, so it won't be that bad. The sleep schedule's been a little bit rough. Yeah, I'm not sleeping on Trey Lance coming in, but I'm sleeping on Trey Lance. I'm sleeping on Trey Lance. I think he's terrible. Texans screenplays. Yeah, I wouldn't want to bet that. I don't know if he was he a generational prospect? Is that a little bit dramatic? I mean, he was a FCS guy that hadn't started a lot of games. Generational might be a little much. That Trevor Lawrence was supposed to be the generational one. Didn't feel that good. I thought someone said something. Aaron Wilson says Sting will play. Okay. We'll see. Aaron was right about the O-line shuffle last week. The injury predictions have been a little bit shaky. Today, if you were following me on Twitter, didn't see Daniil early on, and I was kind of like, damn, they're going to be without both the ends. He appeared late, so Daniil was there. There was no Stingley though, so we'll see how that is. The Stingley thing will be interesting. If you don't have Stingley or Lassiter, the defense, look, fortunately, there's not a lot of firepower with the Cowboys. But the defense, that's going to be a tough task if you have to put your reserve corners on CD. And you keep getting questions about Okudah. Would Okudah start? I don't know. I don't know if Okudah's ready to go. I don't know if Okudah's good. I mean, if you ask anyone at his previous stops, they'll say no. I mean, he wasn't just completely sticking out at camp. Would Okudah start? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. I think we would probably see Chris Boyd play some defense too. He'll battle. But nobody on this team can check CD. I don't even know if Sting can check CD. I mean, they can battle. They can go toe-to-toe. But even if you have Sting and Lassiter, CeeDee Lamb, it helps that he has Cooper Rush as his quarterback. That helps a lot. It's not Dak. But CeeDee is one of the hardest receivers in the league to guard. because he moves around so much and he's in the slot a lot. I mean, God forbid they find a situation where they got Petrie on CD, but I mean, I think there's a chance that happens a time or two, depending on if McCarthy's ever able to do it. But it's going to be tough if they don't have Sting or Lassiter to contain CD. I can't believe his over/under in yards is 56. I know he's hurt, but come on. And that seems like a steal on that parlay. That seems like I'm almost checking that. That's one leg right there. That'll happen in the first half. 58 yards. Okay. They'll probably bring back Desmond King again. I doubt that. I mean, at some point, Desmond King's just got to say, screw y'all, right? Someone asked, who's the offensive line they signed to the practice squad? Who knows? Desmond King, if you bet the over on how many times you'll release him and bring him back, yeah, you're probably rich right now. Eric says you're sleeping on the Cowboys. Sorry, teams show up against. I'm not sleeping on anything. I think the Texans being favored by 8 points, although I gassed myself up to take the bet. I think the Texans being favored by 8 points is crazy. I don't think that's I don't have a lot of confidence in that at all. Even a little bit. Let's hear the final answer from DeMeco Ryans. John McClain asked him what he feels CJ Stroud needs to do. Here is what DeMeco Ryans had to say to the general.
I like to see CJ just go out and cut it loose, right? A lot has been probably said about the miscues of what CJ has done, but CJ has done a lot of great things for our team throughout this entire year. Full, complete trust in CJ. Let him go out and rip it. Cut it loose, play fast, play fun, man. CJ is why we are where we are right now, right? We're sitting in a really good spot because of him, and he's an exceptional talent. I love working with CJ. I love his mindset, and I'm looking for him to come out and attack this game. Thanks, guys. All right, thank you, guys.
All right, there you go. That's DeMeco. Do you think we peaked already? No, not even close. I don't think they've peaked. I think they've cruised. I think the Texans have cruised right now. I don't think they've peaked at all. I think they can peak. That's the thing about it. And I've said this many times. I think they can peak. I think CJ can peak at the right time. I like the messaging of CJ's got to let it loose and what CJ's saying. They're going to need Nico Collins to stay healthy. I think you're dependent on that. I think it's very apparent that at the bare minimum, you're dependent on Nico Collins at this point as an offense. I think that can be one of the lessons that we take from the last 4 weeks that, yeah, the O-line sucks. Yeah, the O-line's not good. Yeah, they're not swarmy, but Nico Collins will make that better. So they're going to have to figure that out. But no, I don't think they've peaked. Does that mean that there's no guarantee that you peak though? You know, like, do I think they've played their best? No, I think they're going to probably win the next 3 games. And then they're going to go into the bye week and they're going to have Miami, Baltimore, Kansas City, and Tennessee again. And we're going to see what they're made of when they face those squads. But this team, this is not like, there hasn't been too many times where the Texans have lost this year where it's been like, well, I just thought there was no way that they would lose that game. They've beaten teams that they should beat. Now, we didn't know Minnesota was going to be this good, so I thought that they could beat but Minnesota has proven to be a good team. They were underdogs to Green Bay. They were dogs to the Jets because of the short week, as dog-butted as the Jets are. And they were dogs to the Lions. So they've really done what they've been expected to do. But do I think they've peaked? Absolutely not. I don't think they've peaked at all. I'm not capable of jinxing, I can promise you. If I were that powerful, then that would be crazy. Yeah, I thought the quote from CJ Stroud was incredible. We're going to get into that tomorrow, SNL. SNL at 4 o'clock, by the way. We're going to keep the same schedule. So SNL with myself and Cody Stutes tomorrow live at 4 o'clock. It'll be on the aftermath of Bobby Slowick. So we'll hear what the hell Bobby has to say for himself. He's been a popular topic.
Damn it, Bobby.
So we'll see how that goes. But no, I do not feel that they have peaked. Bro V11 on the super. Me and my boys appreciate you being up late tonight, giving us the best Texans news. Always, man. Every night, 10:30, my friend. Join. If you get up early, 9 o'clock. Hey, by the way, y'all do me a favor. Go to wherever the podcasts are, whether it's StreamYard or Apple. We got 244 in here. I'm expecting at least some subs. Go to some subscriptions. Go where you get your podcast, type in Landry Locker, Cody Stutes, and subscribe to SNL, Texans Talk. It's 30 minutes every day. It's the only 30 minutes you need. It's two guys who are on the scene. Some of you watch it on YouTube, which we very much appreciate, but subscribe to the podcast as well. You can do it on Spotify. You can do it on Apple. You can do it on anything. Subscribe to that. That would mean the world to me. I would very much appreciate that. Just type it in on your phone right now if you're watching and get in that mix, because the audio format of Texans Talk is, man, it's ass right now in a lot of ways. So it's a good thing to have. It's a good thing to subscribe. Space City Ballers, even after depressing losses, you keep us going. Yeah, you can't quit, man. Can't quit. Been doing this since the Lovey. They let me do the digital thing, so I've been doing this since the Lovey thing. We're on it together. I don't just say that like we are. But I think it's going to be still a very fun season. I think it's going to be interesting to see how Bobby Slowick reacts. That's the number one storyline we're looking at right now. There's three things to watch. I'm done saying let's see what happens with the offensive line. I'm finished. I'm not going to be stupid and sit here and cross my fingers and hope they're good. I hope Joe Mixon can make them look good. I hope CJ can make them look good. I hope that they can be serviceable on certain weeks, and when they're not serviceable, they can overcome it. But I'm done sitting here saying I'm looking at the offensive line. Bobby Slowick needs to be better. There needs to be big improvement from Nico Collins, and CJ Stroud needs to do what he's doing, and the defense needs to continue. That's four things. If that happens, this team is going to be someone that no one wants to play, because you're not offensive dependent. Now, you might be offensive dependent to beat some of these good teams, and you need them to perform. But this defense, once Will Anderson gets healthy, this defense is going to be a defense that can keep you in every game. And not only can they keep you in games, they can make big-time plays that completely swing games. I have zero doubt in my mind. I don't know if CJ Stroud's going to play awesome. I don't know if Nico Collins solves all problems. I don't know if this offense is able to do what they need to do and what they're capable of doing. I know that this defense, especially once they get fully healthy, not even in December, past December when the playoffs start, when you give DeMeco Ryans a week to have an intense game plan, this defense is going to bring it. Last year against the Browns, we saw what happened in matchup number 1. Joe Flacco completely just dominated the Texans. What happened the next time they faced him? 2 pick sixes. The defense carries them. The Baltimore game, they didn't lose Baltimore because of defense. The defense might have worn down, but that was a close game. They didn't score a touchdown on offense. This defense is better than that. So I have no doubt this defense is going to be good. Can we have a high grade session? Always. The high grade.
High grade marijuana called Kush on the streets.
You're
Did
crazy.
you know what that was?
Yeah,
Me neither.
Yeah, DeMeco Autry, he's another element. I don't even think he's peaked. Defense is going to be good, man. The defense is going to be good. That's what we need to look at. Will Christian Harris ever play? I think he plays in December. I've been telling y'all this for a while, like that he wasn't going to come back after 4 weeks. He'll be back in December, I think. Tomorrow, I'm trying to get to talk to Dalton Schultz. I think I'm probably going to get a little one-on-one combo with Dalton. So we'll see how that goes. We got kind of the ties. Obviously, Dalton's a popular subject. CJ talked about the meeting that he had with Dalton Schultz. I'm actually going to put out a video reacting just to CJ's podium stuff. I'll probably do that before practice, and I'll post that sometime before noonish. Then Bobby Slowick will speak. I'll drop the practice report on YouTube. SNL at 4:00, myself and Cody Stutes. And we'll see how all that goes. It'll be cool. I don't play Call of Duty, man. I can't play those shooter games. Even going back to like the 007, some of y'all might not even know what the hell that is. Can't, man. I get too frustrated with that. Halo, all that, man. I just sat there. I liked watching people fight and argue about it, but I couldn't get down with that. But yeah, Dalton likes to play like the nerdy ass games though. He actually built a computer. Who knows? Appreciate y'all for coming through. Subscribe, like, right along. Always remember when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. Ceilings, whatever, who knows? Thanks to Paul Gallant for stopping by as well. Thank you to you as well. Be sure to subscribe. Type in Landry Locker, Cody Stutes, wherever you get your podcast. Subscribe to that. SNL as well. Appreciate you.
You know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too. Landlocked, got the game in the headlock. Localize every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not too. Plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days. Opinions to give, we got takeaways. If it's up, then it's up, we know.